So we now get the F critical values. So in our previous example, we have F point 0.25 and then 42 as our DF1 and then 106. So this is actually our F alpha over 2. Sometimes the degrees of freedom can be written as V1. V, and here this is alpha over 2 and then degrees of freedom of this second set of samples, degrees of freedom of the first set of samples. So we have here our F table, and we are going to find this alpha over 2 is actually equal to the values here, the areas of this one. So we have if we have 0.025, sorry, this is 0.025. So we are going to consider 0.025 values here, somewhere in the middle. And then since we have a numerator of 42, so we'll look for 42 here. This is the degrees of freedom of the numerator, and this side here is the degrees of freedom of the denominator. Okay, so this is for the numerator, one on the top, and on this side is the denominator. So since in our F table we only have somewhere 40 and 46, 50 rather, 40, 50 by tens, 40, 50, 60 as numerator. So we can actually consider the critical value here taken from 40 as the numerator. And we look for 106 in the denominator. So we have 106, 106. Okay. So for the denominator, we only have 60, 100, and then the next item is 200. So here we will consider 100 instead of 106. How about here for the okay, so we will find first the critical value of numerator is 40 and then denominator is 100 and the alpha over 2 is 0.025. So let's find, we already have here a 100 as denominator. So we look for the cross section of the denominator and the numerator. So 100 is third, 1, 2, 3. So we have 40 here, 40, 1, 2, 3, and the 0.025 is somewhere in the middle of that. This is 40 to 40. So we'll look for, this is the column and the rows of 100, cross section of 40. So somewhere in between is value of 1.64. So we have 1.64. So how about here for the second example? So we have 0.025, still values considered to be at the middle. So our numerator is 100. So we can observe that we only have 60 and 120. So we will consider 120 here. That is a value which is near to 100 compared to 60. And then for the denominator, so let's look for 42 if there is a 42. So there is no 42. So the nearest value is 40. So we consider 40 here as our denominator. And so we look for the cross section of 120 as numerator. 120, 40 is 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 120, 1, 2, 3, 4. And somewhere in the middle is 0.025 as alpha over 2. So we have a value of 1.72. So we now have our critical values.